A car that can ignite the imagination of the public, the passion of driving enthusiasts, and literally stop traffic everywhere it goes, only comes along, if we're lucky, once in a generation.
And this is one of those cars, the all-new Audi R8.
Exotic cars all have a similar wedge shape. Even though they're sexy, they all kind of look the same. Not the case with the R8. Yes, it has the same mid-engine layout as Ferraris and Lamborghinis, but this car has a stance and attitude that can be compared to nothing. The big air intakes framed by evil-looking LED lights, big 19-inch wheels, accent panel across the side, a glass engine cover, and even bigger rear vents give the R8 a look all its own. It's an Audi, it looks like an Audi, but at the same time like no Audi we've ever seen before. It's a sex machine on wheels.
You got that right. With a starting price of $140,000, it's hundreds of thousands less than a Ferrari or a Lamborghini. This car is aimed at those buyers that might be considering purchasing a Porsche 911 Turbo or C4S. But what's most important here is a statement. You see, a car like this gives the Audi brand instant credibility. There are a lot of people out there that can't afford to buy the R8, but they're going to feel a heck of a lot better when they put their hard-earned money down on an A4. It really ups the Audi brand. Talk about street cred.
Porsches are as common as a beautiful woman. You see them all around and you wish you had one, but you also know that after a while the beauty fades. A car like this is like a supermodel that you could actually date. Now, you wouldn't get tired of dating a supermodel.
With the engine in the middle, this supermodel's got all the junk in the trunk up front. There's also a small storage area for bags behind the seats. The interior is stunning. It has the finish that we've come to expect from Audi, with carbon fiber surrounding the driver, an instrument pod that's similar to other Audi products, but at the same time more striking. The same easy-to-use multimedia interface is in the center, and we strongly recommend the optional backup camera for parking. Definite must-have.
What is absolutely remarkable about the Audi R8 is just how big it is on the inside. From the outside, it's such a low-slung, exotic-looking car, but on the inside, I've got my legs fully, and I mean fully extended. There's plenty of headroom. It's wide enough for big people. It looks like a very comfortable car for a long trip.
Now, those of you that have a great eye for detail, you might have noticed that this R8 has an automatic transmission. Yeah, we were pretty bummed out, too. I mean, why? Why do they torture us like this, Zach?
I know why. It's so supermodels can drive an R8 in their high heels. Go ahead, give it a shot.
Well, I'm no supermodel, but I was Miss Calgary. Now that's a nice sounding engine. Automatic or no automatic. The engine's right behind the glass, and what an engine it is. It's the same 4.2-liter V8 that's also found in the Audi RS4, which is one of my favorite cars, and Zach and I both really enjoyed driving it last year. It sounds unbelievable, and the great thing is that it's still kind of quiet inside the interior, so you have no problem driving and still listening to the radio. With 420 horsepower and an aluminum space frame, this car rocks to 100 kilometers an hour in just 4.6 seconds, and it has a top speed of 300 kilometers an hour. I guess we're just going to have to take their word for it. The suspension can be electronically adjusted to be sportier, but even in this setting, the suspension never jars the passengers, even if you're going at higher speeds over big bumps. This is a car that lets you have the looks, the speed, and comfort. This is an amazing car to drive. Sure, there's no back seat and there's not a lot of place to put stuff, but if it's just you and you're driving to work every day, what does that really matter? I mean, with the R8, you've got a powerful engine, responsive steering, and the best thing about driving this car, it doesn't matter if you're having a bad hair day, it's always going to attract a lot of attention.
Now, the base transmission is a 6-speed manual unit, or the buyer can pay extra and get what's called an R-tronic transmission. That means it's a manual transmission, but it's automatically shifted. What this means is there is a clutch and gears just like a manual, but the car engages the clutch for the driver. With a flick of the switch on the center console, the shifts can be much crisper. Now the driver has a couple of options with this transmission. You can just leave it in A, automatic, and the car does all the work for you, but you can also put it in M or manual mode, and you shift the car with the paddles behind the steering wheel or the center console. Now just like a regular manual transmission, the best way to drive this car is to lift the throttle in between shifts before engaging the next gear. That way it becomes smoother and actually gets the power down a little bit better. These types of transmissions, ironically, are much better at high speeds on the track. What I really want is a third pedal. I feel kind of ripped off that my first drive in this car has an automatic. The R8 is equipped with Quattro all-wheel drive, but with the engine in the middle of the car, it already feels planted on the road. The Quattro just makes the R8 that much more predictable in the corners. A lot of comparisons have been made between this R8 and the Porsche 911. Now they do have some similarities, and most of them surround the comfort and ease of use. This car could be used every day as a commuter. It's very comfortable. It's got all the luxury touches on the inside. Just like the 911, it doesn't punish the people inside. It isn't jarring and hard to drive. The differences are about how edgy this car feels in comparison to the 911 when both are pushed hard. Everybody compares it to the 911, but I think this car reminds me of another car, another exotic looking car that wasn't too expensive. It had a mid-engine design just like this. It was very easy to drive. It was comfortable and relaxing, and it made an average driver look great. The Acura NSX. This reminds me of an NSX updated for 2008 with a V8 behind the driver's ear. And trust me, that's a compliment.
If the R8 isn't just a standalone model, but a car that really makes a statement about the brand or really aspires people to own an Audi, then I say mission accomplished. But the big question for Zach, Mr. I Love Porsche, would you rather have the Porsche 911 or this R8?
Well, I'll tell you more about that in a second. What I'm going to talk about now is what I like about this car. And first of all, the price. $140,000 is a lot of money. But in this realm, it's a bargain. You get the good looks, you get the mid-engine design. It's an exotic car and a budget basement price. Well, not exactly budget basement price, but it's really good value. It also is beautiful on the inside, it's easy to drive, and it has a lot going for it. On the downside, one thing we didn't touch on in the inside when we were driving it is the dead pedal where you put your left foot is a little bit farther back, and sometimes you couldn't get quite comfortable enough. And that R-tronic automatic manual transmission I think is best left for supermodels in high heels. And it's not raw enough, and that's why I think, well, I'm not going to tell you what I think when it comes to the Porsche Audi R8 comparison. What do you think? It's smooth, it's comfortable, it's easy to drive, the kind of car Lacey would love.
Well, I do, Zach. I absolutely love this car. The exterior styling is so sexy. The interior is well laid out. It's got a very comfortable suspension on it. It's got an amazing engine with lots of power, and it sounds gorgeous. And what I really liked was all the attention that I got while I was driving the car. Now, on the downside, I agree with Zach. I didn't like the R-tronic transmission either. I drive with heels on quite a bit, and
Wait, you're not a supermodel. Come on.
I'd still go with the manual transmission. But my absolute biggest complaint and disappointment with this car is that I don't make enough money to go out and buy one.
I told you, the thing's a bargain at 140 grand. All right, next week, I'm going to take this Audi R8 out on the racetrack.
Zach, I'm on vacation next week.
Exactly. Now, I've had Porsche 911 Turbos, GT3s, and regular Carreras out on the track, so I'm interested to see how the Audi R8 makes its way around a race course. That's next week while Lacey's away on vacation.
For complete specs, go to our website at drivingtelevision.com.